Okay, so I got it together, y'all. So I know tons of you saw that I was on the news because I woke up this morning to like a dozen tags of you inquiring about the news. So yes, there was a standoff in Pine Hills last night, major standoff. So I want to just kind of give you the version of, you know, just what was going on from just a community civilian standpoint. But anyway, so I get off work. I drive in my subdivision. I see a bunch of cop cars down the street. It's like 5:15. So like they had just gotten there, I think at 5, and then I pulled in. So I go down the street and go down past my house because I'm like, what's going on? But then it got to a point where I couldn't go further because the cars were blocking it. So I wound up pulling in a driveway. So which I've got other film, like things that I did get from my camera when I was able to film. And then once night came, I couldn't film because I couldn't see. But anyway, so yeah, so I get out, I'm kind of, I'm in the car now, but I'm filming. And, I just see them and I hear them yelling the person's name, Rashawn or whatever it was, it's Orange County, come out of the house. So I think I said, at that time, it was about 5 cop cars, which was like, oh my God. So then I also heard, they were repeating that over and over, which you'll see that in the video. But then I heard, I guess he cracked the door or something. Because it was across the street, but I was about 3 houses down across the street from that house. So I'm guessing he opened the door, cracked it or something, and he yelled out, I got my daughter in here. And the cops were like, okay, leave the baby inside. You come outside with your hands up. We will take care of the baby. And yeah, I guess he closed the door because I just never heard him after that. And they kept repeating over and over, like on the loudspeaker, megaphone, whatever, John, whatever, come outside, the Orange County, boom, boom, boom. So that was at that time. So now I'm in a driveway because I pulled my car in another driveway just because I couldn't go further. Now the garage opens and person has come home and I'm like, oh my God, is this your house? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm sorry. They're like, no problem. What's going on and stuff. So, I told them. And at this point now, the police have put caution tape all around the driveway, passing down the street. So now my car is stuck in this person's driveway. And but they didn't mind. They're like, it's nothing you can do. Oh my God. And shit, they pulled out their camera too. So anyway, that's where we were. So now I was out of the house, like out of the car, and I was kind of like at the house now, closer to like what was going on. Because, being nosy, I wanted to see. And so I was posted up there for a while. And like more cop cars are coming and, things like that. And then, one of the cops came over and he was like, hey, we need you to go in the house. And I'm like, well, this is not my house. And he was like, well, we need you to go to your house and whatever. So I'm like, all right, and then just get the hell on. But, my car's in this person's driveway, but there's nothing I can do now because that whole area is taped off, including the driveway. So it's just there. So, now it's getting bigger. Like more people are getting home. Now it's, because that part was about like 40 minutes of me standing outside. It's 103 degrees. That's what my car said when I was driving home. So I'm like, I'm just standing outside because I'm like, oh my God, I want to see. This has got to be something like big, like all this, all these people are coming, they're screaming over the megaphone. Clearly this is not a weed charge. Like this is a lot for this. So, I'm out there and boom. So, I'm still standing, posted up, and then the cop comes over. He's like, we need you to go in the house, whatever. I think I said that part, whatever. But, so then I go, further because it wasn't that far. So then I was just in the driveway. Now it's getting bigger. More people are coming outside. They're getting home, coming in the subdivision. Now more and more cops are coming. We're up to like 10 of them now. Helicopters flying around. And, so then now like the news arrives and things like that. And, as residents and, people are coming out, they're coming around. They're like, what's going on? And of course, like, I've been here from the start. So I'm like, well, all I know is they've been yelling this on the speaker, as you hear, over and over. And at one point he did say, I've got my daughter in here. And, and then it's like, oh my God, there's a child in there. And yeah. So now the news arrives. And so, they're still like right down by the house. Like, it's fine. They hadn't you know, and so the news, same thing, like, hey, what's going on? Has anyone seen anything? And I told them what I know, and they're like, oh, okay, boom, boom, boom. So now, like, it's getting huge now. More people are getting home. Now it's about 6:37. You know, people got home. People have come from around the corner, and, you know, so the police wound up moving the tape back further. Like, where I was, it was about 4 houses down on the same street in the driveway, but now, and that's originally where the tape was, but being that it was getting big and news is coming and all this stuff, I guess the police had to move the tape further down, like past the house. So now, you know, everyone else, not me, had to be behind the tape, and it was about 9 houses down now, because I mean, he's not coming out clearly. Now it's been like 2 hours, and they're just steadily yelling over the mic, and like, he's in there, and now we know he's got his daughter in there. So, you know, we all initially moved back by the tape, but, you know, I wanted to be in the driveway because I wanted to hear a little closer. I could hear better 4 houses down than 9, you know, so, but I would still go back, you know, with the rest of my community because I know some of these people. So, and then like the news is, you know, doing their thing, saying what they know, what they've heard over the speaker and whatever. And then I was like, well, I guess they moved us back here. But then someone did tell me, well, I mean, they can ask you to go in your house. You don't have to. And I'm like, oh, say less, because I want to see what's going on. I've been out in the sun for 2 hours. This is still going on. I wonder, how is this going to end? Oh, my God, there's a child in there. I'm a mother, too, you know, whatever. So I go back over there into the driveway, and I'm sitting with, you know, some other people because, you know, they can't. We do live here. These are our homes. Like, you know, whatever. So, what happens next? So we're all out there, and well, I'm in the driveway. There's the, you know, all the news people are back there. Because then one of the people was like, hey, you know, just, if you could, just let us know if you hear anything, you see anything, and boom, boom, boom. Because, you know, it's all elevated now, and, you know, it's getting emotional for people. It's a big scene. Like, this is a lot, and then I practically roped off the whole subdivision. Now, the ambulance are coming, SWAT vehicles, all kinds of, like, it is humongous. So, you know, we're still sitting outside looking down at the house, and all of a sudden we just hear screaming, like, ah! And so, you know, we look back, a lady busts through the tape, the police tape, like she was running a marathon, screaming, my baby, my baby, my baby. And so she runs down to the house. So, I mean, it's like, clearly maybe this is the mother, oh my God. And so, you know, she's hysterical. She's hysterical, right? I mean, rightfully so. She gets down there, and, you know, the police stop her. But the way that they moved her arm away, and they push her hard as shit into a car. And it was like, we were all, like, all the neighbors, you can see that in the video, there's the reactions, because it was like, it was a lot, it was you know. And here's the thing. Now, you know, calm down, boom. You know, it's different, but at that time, everything was so emotionally heightened. I'm sorry. We didn't have all the information, know what's going on. Everyone's like, oh my God, it's a baby inside, it's kids. We don't know. Now we haven't heard him say, or I haven't, because I was the only one that heard him say that along with the cops. But now it's been about 2.5 hours since we've even heard his voice, so we don't know what's going on. He's refusing to come out. This has turned into the only crazy scene in helicopters, and now it's like 25 different vehicles out in vans and SWAT and artillery. They brought in like the big bulldozer thing. I forgot what you call it. That, you know, like they're about to have to bust down this house or whatever they do. And it was like, oh my God. So, anyway, sorry, going back. So the lady, she barrels down, she's screaming, they push her into the car, you know, and we're all like upset because like it was so much force. Like she had a little leotard and her back out, and I mean, it's just like bam against the thing. And, you know, it's like, oh, my God, y'all did not have to use that kind of force because, you know, she's screaming, my daughter, clearly this might be her mother, you know, the mother or something. And, like, honestly, as a mother, many mothers know that would probably be the reaction. And, like, because I know me, if somebody called me, like, girl, they got, you know, your baby down there and the police out there and it's a hostage situation and now they don't know and I don't know if they're dead or alive, I would lose my mind. And you goddamn right, I'm coming barreling down the street like, what, my baby. So, anyway, so then that was the thing. But that was the point where I started recording, and I hate that I couldn't get the part where they pushed her, but it just, that happened so fast, we weren't expecting it. Everybody was just standing like in my driveway, and then all of a sudden this lady comes like a bat out of hell, and it was like so fast. And So then at that point, once they pushed, I was like, okay, that was a lot of fucking force. I didn't like that. And that's when, I get the cameras and like, people got really heated. It's a very emotional, lot of stress, anxiety, the whole thing as a community, just everyone, police, everyone. So then, I got a little shitty with the police and stuff like, no, because the way y'all pushed her, because they were trying to be like, oh, we need you to, go in the house. I will not go in the house. I will not. I will stand in my driveway. I will not go in the house because, also I saw what you did. You just pushed her, and I'm going to keep this camera on because, at the same time, police have to do their job, but at the same time, we do also know, they be doing some, not all of them are the best code of ethics and stuff, and that was just a little bit much, and it's just, it got heated, and I didn't like it. So, then, I would go back to behind the line where, like, the rest of the community was that, because, the police had asked people to leave, and they all left, but I stood my ground, like, okay, I'm going to stay in my driveway, I'm allowed to, I'm not in your way and all up above where it's actually going, and thank you very much, I'm going to stay here. Have a good day. Have a good day. Mm-hmm. So, what happened next? So then, yes, and so then I wound up going back behind the tape where everyone else was, because, I wanted to talk to, she was hysterical, crying, like, I just can't even imagine as a mother. And then, it was found out later once I talked to her, because I went back there like, oh my God, are you okay? There's my grandbaby in there. And I'm like, oh my God, that's terrible. So, I talked to her a little bit and I hugged her because she was hysterical. And it's just like, I didn't know what else to do. It's like, let me give the Yemiya energy, motherly energy. I hugged her. She just, started crying. It's just really like, I can't imagine how that feels. It's crazy. But so apparently what happened is, her daughter, who is also the guy in the house, his, could be girlfriend or ex-girl or, baby mom or whatever, who knows. But there was an altercation and he stabbed her and shot her. So she got out of the house and I guess she, went to the hospital, of course, to get care and had to report it and boom, boom, boom. And that's how the police got sent to the house and that's what the scene was. So I guess the grandmama got a call about it, like her daughter's in the hospital and now the baby in the house hostage and the whole police out there. So she's like frantic, I can't imagine, you don't know if your baby's dead or alive, it's your grandchild, the daughter in the hospital. The stress of that is immense, and I got later, of course, that, they had to stop her. She can't, you can't run in the house. This is a hostage situation because now it could be you in there as another hostage and they can't allow that. But it was so much force they used to push her against the car. And like, it was just a very sensitive situation. It sucked from both sides. I understand the police. I understand her. Like, as a community, we're all like, oh my God, there's kids in there. They've now, all of the houses that surrounded the house that they're aimed at, I get knocked on all the doors and asked those people like, hey, we'd like you to come out. We've got a situation here. We just don't, for safety in case there were shots or anything. So they tried to do all of the houses in the vicinity. People came out, their kids, their families. So, okay, so that happened. So then I go, after I hugged the lady, talk to her, whatever, I went up to go back, pass the tape back in my driveway because I'm going in my driveway. I wouldn't be in my driveway, plus it's closer. It's 4 houses down. So as I'm going back, because now, it's really emotionally charged now because, the way the cops handle her and it was all super aggressive and like, So then I'm walking back to my house and, this one cop, this little short cop, and, me and him now have altered, not the best energy because, he's all, why want you to go in your house? I will not go in my house. I will not go in my house. I don't have to go in my house. I'm well aware of my rights. I am not in your way. I'm going to sit in my driveway. And I understand. And he's like, well, it's for your safety. I'm like, I understand that. And thank you for doing your job. But at this point, it's on me. If I catch you straight, that's my fault. And I'm going to stay out here because I want to film things because I don't like how you did that lady. And I want to see what's going on. Thank you. Have a good day. And then, he said something else out here, but we were going back and forth and stuff. And it was we were yelling. But of course, I don't have that part filmed and stuff. But, and then I wound up calling him Napoleon. He was a short cop, but he's being all forceful. Like, I'm not going in my house. I will not. And so I'm like, okay, thanks, Napoleon. Have a good day. Thanks. Bye. And, leaning up on the car. So, anyway, that was that. So then I wound up going back over to the news people later because we're still observing. Like, all this time is passing. This went on from 5:15 in the afternoon, I think, till finally maybe like 10:30 is when it finally, like, was resolved or like no longer an imminent threat. But anyway, so I go back to the news people and the news people were just like, oh my God, can we interview you and blah, 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 since you were here for it. Because I was wondering what. And I was like, sure, because I'm going to speak for the community and what was seen. Somebody, from a resident's perspective, whatever. And that's what you guys saw. So, but, what happened next? So then, I did the little interview, talking, boom, boom, boom. I went back to my driveway. Again, Napoleon's like, can you stop walking back and forth? Like, I will not stop walking back and forth. I am nowhere near where your crime scene is. I'm going back to my driveway. He's like, well, you're going to coerce other people to want to do it. Now, one other person has followed me, so stop it. I'm going back to my driveway. Thanks, Napoleon. Like, me and him, the energy is just terrible. Like, it's like, he talked to me crazy and strong, and, it's just, y'all know how I am. Like, So, and I'm going to stand my grounder for sure, like, because I do know my rights. I'm going to stay in my fucking driveway, and that's what I'm going to do. And then, bye. We've already discussed this. So, what happens next? Okay, so then, now they send, I guess that they were playing good cop, bad cop and stuff, because, we're out there, we're filming, there's still people over there, because they live there too, so they can be in the driveway if they want. So, they send another cop over, like, to be more gentle, like, hey, we just wanted you to, and I was like, sir, I understand, and just like I told Napoleon, I'm going to stay out here. I understand that, it's for precautions. I'm fine. I want to take the risk. I'm going to stay in my driveway. I am nowhere near where you guys are. Thank you very much. Have a good day. And he was like, all right, well, because seriously, they can't, what the hell? So anyway, that was that. So, then now it's nighttime, and, the bulldozer, because like night has fallen. This has gone on for hours. They're screaming on the megaphone. This man won't come out. We don't know at this point whether he has a gun or anything. We're not privy to that because everything's happening down there. They've already, removed the people from down there. We can't just get down there. So the little bulldozer, or I forget which, it's not a bulldozer. It's like the thing with the boom. But they bust out the front of these people's house, the damn window panel, the porch, and so like I thought they just bust through doors now, but they know what they have to do. They got their reasons. But yeah, so they had to go in the house because he was refusing to come outside. Clearly now the baby's been in there for hours. People are panicking. It's just getting intense. So they went in there. So now officers have entered. Mind you, they had Uzis and all the big rifles out all day, walking down the block. It was like, it's a lot. Like, it is going to, like, Lord, we're all praying, like, because we don't want the baby hurt. We don't even want the man hurt. We're just like, come on and come outside, bro. Like, seriously, like, they've been out here for hours. You can't go anywhere. The helicopter, they're in the backyard. It's like, it's done. Like, just come on out. Like, and I even felt like that at the beginning because, when he cracked the door and I heard his voice like, hey, I got my daughter. It's like, okay, bro, like what did you think they were gonna do? Like, oh, okay, damn, well, we'll all leave and come back around 9. Like, okay, so fine, but leave them in there. Come on out, sir. There's just no one's leaving. It's done. I wish you would have just came outside. So anyway, that was rewind. But now the bulldozer has bust out the house. Now they can go in. So a couple of the SWAT people go in, and like, the temperature is really crazy now. And so we hear them like, put the baby down. Put the baby down. Rashawn, put the baby down. We need you to put the baby down. So apparently he was, which I found out later about the weapon because we weren't sure that he had a weapon. But apparently he was, when they entered, he was holding the baby and had a gun and like was using the baby as a shield. It's like, it's just fucking awful. Like, my goodness. And, I can only imagine what was going through his head too. Like, I'm trying to sympathize from every angle and the stress and everything. But at the same time, like, bro, it's a child. This poor baby. She was 3. A girl, she's 3. Like, it's just so much. So they repeatedly kept saying, put the baby down. Put the baby down. We need you to put your hands up. Put the baby down. Put the baby down. And like, we're all just like, oh my God, like the stress of that. It was sickening at that point because we were just the anticipation and just waiting, like, what's going to happen. They kept repeatedly, put the baby down, put the baby down, put your hands up, put the baby down. And all of a sudden, pop, pop, pop. The lady, the grandmother back there, she belts out screaming, ah, because he's like, who was killed? Was it the baby? What happened? Did he shoot at them? Like, we're all in the dark. It was so intense. Like, it was a sickening feeling, like, especially with a child being involved. Who ever wants to deal with that. And so then it was about a minute later, because mind you, now it's dark, so everyone else can't really see because they're like 9, 10 houses down, but I'm 4 houses down, and that's why I said I'm standing in this driveway. So then about a minute after the shots, one of the officers emerges from the house with the baby, like holding the baby on his hip. And so I was like, they have the baby! The baby's fine! And so I was like, yes, thank you, Jesus, thank you, Jesus. And so they wound up bringing the baby down the street to give her to the grandmother. So beautiful, such a beautiful embrace. And like, thank God that baby, and the baby wasn't crying or anything like that. And so I'm happy about that. And like, that's a beautiful thing about the age. 3 is one of those ages, like, what is really even happening? So it's just, at least the baby didn't have to be super stressed out, like knowing what's going on. And honestly, I hope, I don't have many memories from when I was 3, so I'm hoping the same thing happens for her, because like, I can't say exactly how it happened, but with them saying, put the baby down, he's using the baby as a shield, put your hands up, put the baby down, I would assume, but again, I don't know, I don't have the visual, but I would assume they had to just make the call, take the shot that they could while he was holding the baby, because it's just too much of a risk. He has a gun, they don't know what he's going to do, it's a baby involved. And honestly, if it was me, my child, and this was the situation, take whoever the fuck down while they're holding my child, safe, just get my child. This is what it is. It had to be. It stinks. It's just like, you can't do this kind of stuff, dude, and stab people and shoot people and hold babies hostage, and you got the OPD out here for 6 hours, and so, that was the great thing. So boom, now we already heard that it's happened. She has the baby, boom. So now, we're still, spectating, because now we don't know if he's dead. We don't know if, we don't know. Like, at no time did we hear them at that time say, like, put down your weapon. So we weren't even aware that he had a weapon. So, there was a speculation in the little chatter, like, we didn't hear that he had a weapon, and they didn't have to take him down, and blah, blah, blah. What we learned later, of course, after the press conference, that he did indeed have a weapon. They just didn't say that over the megaphone. But they said they had body cam footage that, I guess, films this, so I'm sure they're not lying. But, so, just, it's all right. So, that part's down. But, we're still out here, because now, everybody's speculating, like, we don't know if he's dead or not. And I remember we asked some of the people, because there were several news outlets out there, and they were like, well, one way that you can tell sometimes is if they leave in an ambulance, he might be injured, but if the person's dead, a coroner has to come, because the body can't be moved. They gotta, it's a crime scene, pictures have to be taken before any of that, and like, we just didn't know, because not like a big old van pulled up that said coroner, like, so that was the speculation. So now, at this point, I've gone back behind the tape. I'm with the community and everything. It's probably like 50, 60 people out here. And, the families that were evacuated from the closer by houses. And so one lady, everybody has now been out here for 5 hours, no water. It was the sun, no water, no back, it was a lot. These people can't go back to their homes. And, there was one lady, she was much older, she's been standing out here forever. She needed her medicine. She's shaking, I think it was like insulin or something. And then, so it was like, well, they let these people go back to their house now. That part's over, so they can at least go in their homes across the street, whatever, so they can, people have been out here for a while. And then there was another lady who was Spanish. She had like 4 kids, small kids, like it was miserable in pajamas. One don't have shoes on. She doesn't speak English. And so, her daughter, her little daughter, who I would say is probably like 9 or 10, she comes up to me. She's like, excuse me, can you tell me what's going on so I can tell my mom? And I'm like, oh my goodness. So of course I go over there and I communicate so she can translate to her mother. And mother's like, I think me on, da, 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 da. So we translated. And, she's like, the little girl, poor thing, she was like, I've got to pee, and we're hungry, and do you know, if they'll let us back in our house? And I'm like, I don't know. But at this point, I'm the community, like, you know what? So I go up, because at the tape was Napoleon. He was like, guarding the tape press, and everything is there. And so I go up there, and I'm like, can I ask you a question? He's like, sure. And I'm like, okay. So you know, there's a lot of people who you evacuated from the homes that were close by, but, you know, they've now been out here for 6 hours. I mean, you know, are they allowed to go back in their house now since the situation is neutralized? And he's like, no, they're not. You know, he's aggressive. Me and him got bad energy. We didn't have Moss this whole time. And plus, I named him Napoleon. So, I mean, like, so. But, you know, and I'm like, trying to explain to him, I'm like, well, we have one lady over here who's literally needs her insulin. She needed to take it hours ago. And, you know, so she wants to go home. He's like, and we have paramedics and the fire department out here for that purpose. And then I get, you know, heated. I'm like, so what you're saying is it's better for her to fall out on the floor and have a fucking seizure than be able to go back to her home, stay in it, of course, and have her medicine since you've already murdered the fucking problem. And he's like, I cannot disclose whether there's been any murder or not. You know, it's heated. So, and he was like, and I do not have the authority to make that decision. It has not been made yet. This is a crime scene. You know, I am a deputy. And I'm like, it's clear you don't have the authority because that's why you're guarding the police tape and they're all down there. Can I speak to someone who is a decision maker? And he's like, you know, unfortunately, they are busy and you cannot, and blah, 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 you know, because I'm fighting for the neighbors. The kids out here miserable. You know, it's been hours. Like, I was even dying, but I'm an adult. I can't imagine kids and babies out here. So, whatever. Had to let it go. What are you going to do? But I know he couldn't stand me, but it's like, what are you going to do? The news out here? What are you going to tase me? Like, I'm asking you a question. Like, it's just how I am. I'm the adopter of I'm the Robin Hood. Like, you know, it's an intense situation. A lot of people don't want to speak to police. I'm confrontational. Like, I have questions because people are suffering out here. This sucks. It's my community. I know a lot of these people. So, anyway, whatever. He said, no, what are you going to do? So then, you know, things are starting, like a couple of vehicles are starting to leave. It's still a crime scene, of course, but, you know, now we don't need 25 vehicles, bulldozers and shit, so things are starting to leave. So, you know, he would lift the tape to let certain cars through and boom. So then it's like maybe 30 to 40 minutes after this, I asked him, can they? So I see two gentlemen, you know, come from under the tape, and it was clear, like they clearly looked like authority. You know, you can just tell where to walk. So I was like, hi, excuse me, do you happen to be a lieutenant? And he was like, actually, I'm the captain. And I'm like, okay, you know, can I ask you a question? And then, you know, I explained to him what was going on. Like, you know, they've been out here for hours, like 5 hours. No water, no, you know, it's children. This lady, she needs her medicine. She needed it hours ago. And, you know, he explained again, like, you know, the reason, he was so kind. You know, the reason is, you know, it's still a crime scene, so we don't want anything disturbed until forensics comes. And boom, boom, boom. And, you know, we talked a little. He was very nice. Such a great captain. OPD, amazing. Loved him. Great spirit. Knows how to speak to people, you know. And, you know, we talked a little bit. And then, you know, I explained, you know, he was looking at their kids, and so he was like, well, he's like, let me ask, where is it that they live? So I called the little girl back over, like, hi, which house is yours, mama? And it was like the house across the street, but 2 houses down from the street. And he was like, you know what, give me a second, because he's been out, like, about 2 hours now after they've already, shots fired, it's neutralized. So he goes up to the deputy at the tape, and, you know, and he says something to him, blah, blah, blah. And then he summons, he's like, tell them to come on. This deputy is going to escort them to their homes so they can go inside and stay inside. Because, you know, they just didn't want the homes on the side of the house where that, you know, the offending house was, because that's the official crime scene. People across the street and 2 houses down. It's like, oh, let them go inside at this point. Just tell them to stay inside. It's just, you know, it's done. So anyway, so Napoleon had to escort them to their homes. Like, you know, I got a little soft spot for people suffering, and I got why you had to evacuate them and all, but at the same time, like, it's neutralized now. Kids are suffering. The lady's about to fall out on the pavement. She needs her meds, and your thing is, and that's why paramedics are here. She, you know, it's just insensitive. He was a jerk. And then, you know, that's the problem. And I appreciate, like, the actual authority figures, and that's why they're authority figures, because they know how to speak to people. Like how aggressive the other one was, the deputy is. Like, that's just why you're not a lieutenant or a captain, because you fucking suck and you don't know how to handle people in stress. Like, you know, it's whatever. But that was pretty much, you know, what happened. And then it was like about midnight, then I finally was like, all right, I'm going to go in the house. You know, things are cleared out and some of the news is left. And I'm exhausted because I've now been out here from 5:15 to midnight for 6 hours because I became the neighborhood liaison because I was the only one who could get a little close with my refusal to go inside my house and stand in my driveway. So that is what happened, and and that's why you guys saw me on the news. And so now it's the next day. They're still out there now. It's not as bad, but it's just still a crime scene. So there's just cars out there and boom, boom, boom. But yeah. And so, one more thing, like what I did love about the lieutenant, after he, had told the guy to escort him to the home, he came back over, and I was like, thank you so much for doing that for them, because I just have a soft spot for the kids. And he was like, I understood, and he actually thanked me for being the advocate for my community and speaking up for people who couldn't speak for themselves, because somebody's got to do it. And that's why I'm Robin Hood, because like seriously, it was an intense situation, and people were like, oh, the cops. But it's like, yeah, okay, the cops, all right, we both put our pants on one leg at a time. I have a question, sir. And so, but captain of OPD, great man, loved him, super gracious. He was so kind to everyone when he spoke to it was great. But such an intense experience. I'm so sad that, someone had to die, of course, but I am glad that the baby's alive, because that would have just been so unnecessary. But it was so intense that it's not usually things that happen in my subdivision. But, Pine Hills does have his nickname, Pine Hills. But, that was just a lot. And someone did lose their life, which I didn't find out till the next morning, because then I watched the official news. Now all of the outlets were covering it, and they had the press conference with the police. And so, yeah, it looks like he did have a weapon. They did have to take him down. I respect that decision, especially as a mother, because, like, if you have my baby as a human shield and you got a weapon, please take him down. That's just what it's got to be. And so it's unfortunate. Now, the last I heard about the original woman who got shot, the child's mother, she was in surgery. So, and that was another thing, with, talking to the lady, like the mother, her mother, the grandmother, like, just she's in surgery, which that is a good thing, because what they don't do is surgery on dead people. So they're still hopeful, stay positive, you're stressed out. But, all in all, at least the baby was safe, and it was a 3-year-old baby. And I just hate the trauma of that. Like, just, even if the baby doesn't remember, like, now she just doesn't have her dad, and just at a later time in life when someone has to tell her the story, it's like, yeah, he was shot right while he was holding you. Like, it's just awful. Such an awful circumstance. So, like, let's talk about the domestic violence real quick. Like, stop. You don't got to stab people and shoot them. You're mad at it. It's ridiculous. You, like, all these people's lives at jeopardy. It's just nonsense. Like, and just so unnecessary. But it was stressful. I hope to never have to be involved in something like that again. I didn't really even like that in my neighborhood. But, that is what happened. So that is the story from the ground. And I'm posting the few videos that I was able to take, before night fell, and in between all the chaos and running back and forth and being a liaison for the news and stuff, because I had a responsibility. And I took it serious. That's why I stayed out there the whole time, because I could actually hear the voices even when they weren't on a speaker, but they couldn't that far back. So I was going back, letting people know what happened. Everyone's curious. This is our community. It's a lot. It's a child involved. Like, that's just human nature, is like, you're concerned about that. So that's what happened, guys. So I just wanted to kind of give you my version. And that's it.